We are back with another conversation today, and today it's actually a little special.
A little special.
And that's because we actually were able to ask a couple, really more than a couple. We asked a handful of viewers personally what they wanted to know about in these conversations, and we received a good amount of responses, don't you think?
Yeah, we put up on our story questions to ask to see, what y'all want to hear about.
A little mix of stories and a little mix of like in-person conversations that really gave us what we needed.
So what we ended up doing is that we gathered the questions, and now we're going to present these questions to you all and answer them. First, I want to say thanks to all the viewers. We couldn't have got these questions without you. We appreciate it.
So now that we have all these questions, we have like actual topics to dig into.
Right.
We have a list here.
And to give people a base, we said ask us one random question and one relationship question. Some people came up with more questions than just those two. So
they really did. Like they went off actually, and I appreciate it. Because you don't really know what people want to know about, but we love to talk.
Yeah.
So
right.
I'm like,
anybody who's watching this video right now, if you have questions, put them in the comments. We will be more than happy to answer them for you all.
Are any question topics off limit?
That is a good question.
We'll see. Right now, I'd rather just get all the questions and then we'll see if they're too far off our path.
Yeah. Too far left. Exactly.
Anyways.
Yeah, so.
Let's get going. I actually want to start, this is the first one that I put in the list.
Okay.
What's next for you all, individually and together? Okay, so.
I'm actually interested to see what you're going to say.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you don't know what I'm going to say?
I don't know what you're going to say. I never know.
Really?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's probably just tapping into being more myself, being more authentic. Maybe rephrase, just being more in touch with my spirituality, actually. There's no reasoning behind that. What I'm noticing is that when I tap more into spirituality, I'm able to focus more.
Yeah. And
I feel like more than ever right now, I just need to be focused.
Right.
On what I'm receiving.
Right.
Because I feel like I got off track a smidge recently. Just a smidge.
Why you say that?
I just feel like I need to protect my energy.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah. Protecting your energy is important.
Yeah, so that I can focus on. Well, you said it recently, like. Focus less this year on people's feelings. Not in a mean way, but just making sure that our goals and our purpose, whatever your purpose is, what you feel called to do, that you're following that more directly versus worrying about all the outside noise and things. Because I just realized recently, like, you can get off track really quickly and not even catch it.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't always been on track, then off track is more normal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So now I'm feeling like I'm becoming more aware of what I guess my path is and what I need to be doing to follow that. And my next steps need to be slower, more thought out, and aligned with creativity.
Yeah.
Creativity is probably my main thing. My next steps will be in the creative field heavily.
And this is for individual?
Individually.
Okay, gotcha.
It's probably close to like both of us, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense. I feel relatively the same. I feel like tapping more into my creative energies and aspects of myself are probably going to be what's next. I've never really fully just went all out in being creative, so I'm kind of excited to see what that's going to bring about.
How do you think that'll change you to be fully creative? Mind you, we're creative at home to each other all the time, but just not so much outwardly to everyone else, you know?
Yeah. I don't really know how it's going to change me, for real. I feel like it might help me get to know myself in a better light.
Sorry. It might get to know. I sneezed on you.
Oh, okay. I feel like it might help me get to know myself in a better light, or just a different light. That's not necessarily better. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, if you do something, do you know what kind of effect it's going to have on you? Not really. I don't think I really do, for real. But I'm excited to see what comes from it, I guess.
I would show y'all his painting that he's working on right now, or drawing, but he probably want me to do that. But he can draw, guys. Because look at your face. See, we're being creative out there, showing the people.
They are being creative.
I've noticed that you painting and drawing has unlocked a new level of you. So.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
I'm excited for everybody to see, you know, who this artistic man will be.
Okay. Cool.
You want to ask the next? Oh, well, okay. So that means that we have the same next step.
Yeah. I think also individually, I'm going to be more active on having conversations. It's like stimulating conversations, and just in different fields of information and topics. I like to talk. I like to think of myself as a conversationalist. Mm-hmm. You know, so yeah, why not tap into it? People always ask me, I ask good questions anyway, so why not?
No, people talk to him all day. I don't know how you do it, honestly.
I don't mind it. I actually like talking to people all day. I will talk to people. People come to me, they'll be kind of perplexed about whatever it is that they're talking about, and I'm like, yeah, let's figure it out. Let's do this. You know, so yeah, why not take it even further?
I want to add to mine. I think also I need to work on being more disciplined.
Okay.
And mainly for the purpose of developing skill.
Okay.
I have a lot of skills. I think I really do.
You do.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
But this stage in my life, I want more pinpoint skills that will push me to the next level.
Right.
More refined skills so that I can make sure that I can amplify what I already know.
Right.
Does that make sense? Because
yeah, it makes total sense.
I don't want to keep asking does it make sense, because it does make sense.
Yeah.
But that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. I feel you. I figured it was you.
You figured it was me?
I figured it was you.
Sure.
Did we answer for both of us?
You can answer that.
For both of us, we're going to try to push out more content. You know, we're going to start putting out more shorts, how to push different segments of content in different areas and different places, expanding our reach on more social media platforms. So, yeah, it's coming.
It actually is.
Yeah.
I've never been more excited or proud of us as creators. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Right.
I'll leave it at that.
Second question.
You can ask any of them.
Any of them? Mm-hmm. Any of them. So, this next one says, how do you navigate communicating with your parents now that you're an adult? There we go. Let's go and get the tough ones.
This one's really hard, in my opinion, especially if you're black or brown. Okay. Personally.
Why is that?
Because from my experience, they don't play.
Right.
Not one of them. And if you know some that do, I mean, right. That's cool.
Yeah.
But, you know, I feel like just growing up and like around black people, I think it's about race, but like, you know, if you grow up in environments.
Right.
Where
you're talking about like childhood growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Where your elders don't play.
Right.
I feel like you operate differently.
Okay. And let's clarify, what is don't play? What does that mean?
Have you all heard like stay in a child's place?
Mm-hmm. The phrase?
the phrase.
Yeah.
Or like, this is grown folks' business.
Yeah.
Or like, it doesn't have to even come from your house. It's like you just hear it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could be at church, it could be at school, it could be at anywhere where people gather.
Yeah.
And you're younger.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start trying to reason or talk, you know, different ways.
Yeah.
I feel like you quickly learn who you are and who you're not in the eyes of the elders around you.
It's interesting that you say that because I was actually on social media and on a post that I saw, it was talking about how to separate toxic familial behaviors from toxic people. It was talking about as a parent, keeping secrets and always being the person that like knows best for the kid, which I mean, that's a hard one to navigate. Kids not gonna automatically know what's best for them, you know, when they're kids, because like, you know, they come out with no knowledge like at all, like from the womb. So also not parents either. So we don't really all the way know what it means to have, like what it seems like to have a kid. But I would say that growing up, it did seem like it was kind of difficult to use reason and logic, like you were saying. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times it felt like using reason or logic, like it might have made our parents feel threatened, you know, and
it was seen as talking back.
Oh yeah.
Even if, and I do understand it's a fine line.
Do you think that talking back is like a threat or like threatening?
It could be, but from my perspective, it depends on our parents and who raised them and who raised them.
Right.
Because depending on...
down the pipeline.
Yeah, it's coming down the pipeline, especially for Black people too, because there was a point where you, like for life or death, you can't have your kids talking to any adult crazy because they could die.
Yeah, they could.
So, you know, you understand why these traditions of how to raise kids started, because literally they try to just protect you.
Yeah.
And then as you know, you're born and raised in a different time frame, a different culture, different atmosphere, they teach you what helped keep them alive and keep their parents alive and everything. So it's like, you get it, but at the same time,
it's interesting because I remember you
change.
I remember you telling me a story about, I think it was your granny, and you said like someone was talking and like I think the police was coming to the car or something like that.
Oh, it was a long time ago. I was little. My dad got pulled over.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
We wouldn't do anything. We were just driving. We were literally going to church.
Right.
Like as a family. It was my daddy, and it was my sister. I think it was my dad, my sister, my granny, and me. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I don't even know why we were all in the car, but we were there together, and he got pulled over for nothing, literally. And I was in the back, and I was trying to ask questions, and she immediately was like, "Stop!" Like she shut me down from talking.
Your granny?
Yeah. And I remember back then I was like, you know, upset. Yeah. But then I understand, like now I'm an adult and seeing like how any wrong move with cops sometimes could be like really bad.
Yeah.
You know, you show gratitude towards that as well, but then also you come to a point where like you're an adult, now I need to talk. Mm-hmm. And because for so long you just kind of learned
right
to like not express.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
I think we were kind of conditioned to express ourselves in certain spaces and not all spaces.
Yeah.
And
like dancing, express yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, laughing at funny movies and things through our hair and our clothes, express yourself.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it was very like emotions. We didn't talk about emotions very much, you know?
Right.
But we could talk about good story. Like we socialize, but I feel like when it comes to trying to talk to your parents about
your inner emotions,
mm-hmm. That one's pretty hard.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because everyone we talked to, I mean, there was like 8 people around the other day. We just asked the open question about these, you know, who wants to submit a question. And like everybody felt that way.
Yeah.
And they weren't just Black.
No.
You know, they were it was a melting pot in front of us.
For sure.
So
it's very interesting seeing different types of people kind of go through the same kind of issues with their parents
in different ways. Yeah.
It's very interesting seeing that play out, because when we were asking, when we posed the topic, it seemed like everybody wanted to chime in. Yeah, my parents did this. This is what happened when I was younger and all this stuff.
That build up.
Yeah, that build, like it was like as soon as we asked the question, it just went off. So it's interesting seeing people kind of struggle with with the same kind of topic in different ways with their parents. And what I find interesting is trying to navigate how to undo those things, because like
you have to talk to your parents.
You have to express your inner emotions somehow, some way, because if not, then they will automatically express themselves, whether it be through anger or sadness or some form of lashing out or frustration or something like that.
And also remember too that more than likely, if we got, this version of learning how to like communicate with elders, they probably got it harder.
Yeah, they did.
They're not even probably used to communicating with their emotions or expressing because what I've learned too is that it seems like past generations, the main thing is survival.
Yeah.
So it's like if you were fed and in a nice house and you always had clothes and you were able to have a car, like you're living great.
Yeah.
And in reality, that's true.
Yeah.
You are. They provided a lot.
Yeah, because before them, they didn't even have a house. They didn't have toilets in their house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They didn't have like bags back then. They didn't. Survival was the main thing, and they didn't have all their needs readily accessible.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
and then we were able to live in bigger houses and have.
Yeah. Have more accessibility, have more information, have more.
Go to college.
Have our needs being able to readily be fulfilled instantly, and that wasn't a thing 50, 60 years ago.
Right. So it's something to consider.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take that away from anybody. It's just that when you start learning about yourself and even about possible traumas or triggers you discovered, you start to learn that it started really early.
Yeah.
And it could not even be from your house. It could be just from people you hear around you, So it just depends. But as an adult now, trying to talk to my parents, trying to build a relationship that's, more developed and more balanced between them and myself. It's a fine line because you have to still, you don't have to, but I would like to still show respect.
Yeah.
Regardless of if I'm an adult or not, because I want to respect what they've done and what they've provided.
Yeah.
But I also feel like it's time to, stand in my own belief system that I've created and I've developed, and I've undone a lot of childhood experiences.
Yeah.
To be, who I am today. And just remember too that deep down, I feel like most of your parents, whether they act like it or not, they tried to raise you to be someone who can express themselves and stand on their own.
Right.
And the hardest person I think to be able to talk to and stand on your own to is your parents.
Yeah.
So I think if you can do that respectfully and what's the other word? Respectfully and just in a very calm and positive manner, I think you can go far in life.
Yeah. I think what makes it difficult for people when it comes to communicating as an adult with their parents is there's a disconnect with what respect means and how we define respect.
There is. I feel like a lot of our elders think that respect means one thing, but I don't feel like I necessarily see respect in those ways,
Yeah.
Okay,
so what I feel like respect is actively listening and making sure that care is shown on both parts and on both parties of what is being said and expressed. And that might not necessarily fit in the definition of what respect could have been back 20, 30 years ago. Right. You know what I'm saying? Some people felt like, if you don't do what I say, then you're not respecting me. That could have been a definition back in the day, you know, and that probably did work for a while. But as we get older, as we evolve as human beings, we refine our definitions so that we can be more pinpointed with them, so that they can work better and we can evolve socially as well.
And just from like our elder, like our parents and everything like that, they were probably used to just tucking their feelings under the rug because of the whole survival mentality.
Yeah, and there was no avenue. Back then, there was no avenue for them to just be like, hey, I'm about to express myself, because you could get killed. Access to resources could be heavily affected. You know, you really just couldn't express what was really happening, you know, out back in the day like that, for real. So like survival was the main thing. So then like if their kids was there, their kids is crying, they're like, you don't even know what you're crying about, because you got a house. You know what I'm saying? You got access to resources and stuff like that.
You have freedom.
You have freedom. You know, you have freedom.
So it's like, that one's interesting. It's interesting because I get it. I get what they're saying. I get how they, you know, are brought up, but also things change and evolution happens. And
I mean, the times have evolved. We don't live in those conditions anymore, to where we have to feel like we are being monitored like they were.
Well, we have like therapy now.
Yeah.
We have open conversations. People regularly on the internet talk about trauma and triggers.
Yeah. So, and that was not accessible back in the day. You know, now we can look at someone else's perspective and see that perspective instantly. Whereas like before smartphones, to hear someone else's perspective, you had to listen on the radio. You know, you know what I'm saying? TVs weren't out at first. You know what I'm saying? Radios were. You had to listen to the radio. You had to like.
That everybody shared.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody shared in the whole house.
You didn't have your own.
No, you didn't have your own any of that stuff. So like, to listen to someone's perspective, you know, especially a perspective that goes against yours, those kind of clashes were not happening on the day-to-day like they are today.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, and like, and that's something to take into account when you're talking to your parents. Like, you have, even though they may or may not have denied your expression in regards to your inner emotions, you still have to understand where they come from, so that you can show them that what they have to say matters as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like a lot of people might feel triggered and traumatized by not being able to express themselves to their parents. But at the same time, we also have to see where they come from, so that they can feel like they can open up. They're actually more triggered than we are.
Yeah, and
you know what I'm saying? They're more traumatized than we are about expressing themselves.
To be honest, everybody needs healing.
Yeah.
Even if somebody upset you or hurt your feelings in the past. Like, hurt people.
Right.
So like, if your parental figure or your surroundings around you made you feel like you can't communicate with them as an adult now, based off childhood experiences, they probably need you to listen to them for a little bit and understand where they're coming from, because they wouldn't act like that for no reason.
Absolutely. And the thing is too, if your expression was tied to survival, then that automatically means that safety is connected in all of this. So that means when they get to a point where they have to start expressing themselves, they are now putting themselves on a chopping block to feel their safety getting cut off. You know what I'm saying? They were in a survival mindset when they learned what they learned. So now when you're like, hey, I have feelings that I want you to talk about, they start thinking about even talking about their feelings. It puts them back in that same mindset where safety is now an issue. They no longer feel safe in the conversation, and that's important to have any kind of conversation. You can't talk to anybody who doesn't feel safe when they're talking to you.
They're in fight or flight. They can't hear you.
Right.
Hope that answers that one.
So that was a good one. That was a good question. All right, your turn.
I'm gonna lighten it back up real quick. Okay, so how do you have fun?
How do I have fun?
This one's for you.
This is for me.
It was for you.
All right, so what I like to do, I like to play video games. I like to dance. I like to skate. I like to meditate. I know it doesn't sound fun, but it is fun for me. I like to stretch, and I like to dance and have a good time at parties and stuff like that. You know, I like to.
You like anime?
I like anime. Yeah, I like watching anime. Shinron on my shirt. Dragon Ball Z.
What is it?
Shinron the Dragon. The Grand Switches. 3 to be exact. Once you capture all 7 Dragon Balls.
That comes out.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So, what I like to do for fun, I'm actually learning to paint for fun. That's a new one.
He's saying learning. He can draw. Mind you, he has not been drawing really this entire time we've been together.
No.
He started pulling out just like sketchbooks and canvases when we, like, because I draw on things, you know, and he's really good, just kind of casually, like, oh no, I'm just learning. Okay. You're really good.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
But yeah, so that's what I do to have fun. I like to move my body. I like to work out.
He likes to freestyle.
I do like to freestyle. Freestyle all the time.
Let's talk about rap.
Oh, I like to freestyle rap too. I like to freestyle rap. What y'all saying?
Did you want to share that? Do you like to
I
rap?
don't care all the time. I do like to rap.
Yeah.
I like to rap all the time. I'll hop in a freestyle cipher. Just good. I don't care. What do you like to do to have fun?
Watch YouTube. I like day trips.
Oh yeah, she likes to be in the pool, in the water.
Oh yes, I love a pool day. Okay. I love sitting by the pool. I will do work by the pool.
Right.
I will stretch by the pool.
Mm-hmm.
I'll hop in and out the pool.
That's right.
I like to paint by the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Did I mention get in the pool?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I like to eat food.
Yeah, she does.
A lot. I like to order a bunch of food.
I mean, we both like to eat food.
But like, you don't care about the menu like I do.
Oh yeah, you do.
Like, a fun day for me would be, we get up, I'm hungry, we go to a restaurant, I order like, whatever I want.
Everything, a whole spread, and she's gonna get 5 sauces. And
I may not. I'm changing.
she's the only person that I've ever met that when she brings out food, she also brings out a sauce plate. I didn't even know about sauce plates until I met her. So now I have sauce plates for myself too. So.
And you like them?
I do like them. I'm not knocking them. I'm not knocking them at all. I think they're great.
You like a sauce plate? You do?
I do. They're really nice and very handy.
For fun, I also like doing spa days with us
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
I'm turning
She
them
does.
into a spa person.
She
At home
likes
spa care.
She likes to do pedicure and do my feet. So.
I think this is important. I feel like we need to, I like to do face masks.
Mm.
I like making like juices,
Right.
or I like to cook.
Mm.
I like to create. And I like to lay in the bed with colorful lighting around me and a candle. I love candles. If there's not a candle lit in my house,
That's funny.
it may not be fun.
Yeah.
That's all.
Cool. So go on to the next one.
Mind you, I'm out of candles right now.
How do you come back to center?
Me?
Yeah. Well.
I've started to clean when I feel like my energy's thrown off.
Right.
Should we define what it means for us to come back to center? Do people know what that means?
I guess for me, when I hear come back to center, I think when you're like rattled, whether it be like mentally or emotionally, I feel like coming back to center is like going back to a single pointed calm state of mind. That's what it means to me. Is that how you define? Would you define it that way yourself?
I just don't know if like the average person would understand that, but that's okay.
I mean, like,
The people who asked this question, they were not average. they think differently. So it's
Okay, so break it down for me. What do you feel like the average person, because we also have other viewers as well, how do you define coming back to center so that others will understand?
maybe slowing down your heart rate. And if you've heard of mindfulness, just like tuning into the in-between moments,
Right.
almost.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like touch your chest right now, and like you feel your heart is kind of like this, or if you're breathing, if you hold on to your body and you're breathing, he plays all day. If you hold on to your body and you can feel your heartbeat kind of going like this,
Mm-hmm.
or even like faster,
Like an irregular rhythm?
irregular, but
Mhm.
people might not even know. Because for a long time I was doing this all day, didn't even know. So
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
when we first got together,
yeah.
I was like crazy. So I think just like being able to hold yourself and find like after you do like 10 like solid slow deep breaths, and then recognizing how you feel after that is probably a start of feeling centered and grounded.
Yeah.
Right?
I think
Like
so.
an entryway.
I think so. I think like on top of that, just trying to get into the zone of just being the observer. Like not even trying to hold on to any 1, 2, or 3 thoughts that come to mind.
That's what I've been doing recently.
Mm,
Like to answer the question.
yeah.
Um,
Because it's so easy to get flustered and frustrated and irritated, sad, angry. Like you could be sitting and you could think about one thing, and then that thing can snowball into like 50 different things. And then you could think about what it is you need to be doing right now, because there's always another thing to do. Always another thing. That you wake up, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, I wake up and I think about, okay, it's time to go edit a video. Okay, it's time to go to work. It's time to do it. It's always something on a to-do list. And like, you can make yourself anxious, frustrated, irritated, sad, angry, with all these different things to think about. So being the observer is seeing the thought come to mind, observing the emotion that comes along with it, and then just letting it pass.
I do this in my head. I think of thoughts kind of like little bubbles,
Yeah.
like you blow out bubbles.
Mhm.
So I feel like thoughts are just energy, right? So
Right.
I think of just something
Mhm.
blowing out bubbles,
Right.
right? Here's all our bubbles out there. These are all thoughts.
Mhm.
Sometimes you can catch a bubble, right?
Right.
So you can look at the bubble. This is anger.
Mhm.
Look at the bubble. Once you realize it's not for you anymore, just be like, all right, cool. And sometimes when I'm by myself, I'll really do that with my hands, because
Mhm.
it's like it helps me visually like understand like it's not that serious. It's just a thought. It's just a bubble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just a bubble.
And you can pop it, or you can like let it fly.
Yeah.
I caught that. That was funny. Yeah.
Wait.
It's just a bubble.
Right.
And I used to think, I made the mistake of thinking that all thoughts are my own when they're not.
Yeah.
All energy is not yours. I mean, technically, all energy is one at the core. But like in this concept,
Mhm.
like the thought is not yours. It's just passing by.
Right.
But we've been trying to be like buddy with these bubbles, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, whether it's confusion, frustration,
Yeah.
and taking ownership of it when you could just.
And I think that's probably one of the key things too, is that like ownership. Trying to disengage, making yourself the owner of the thoughts. When you're not the owner of them, then I feel like it's easy to just kind of let it go.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard too, because the thoughts that some people have are about their families, thoughts that they have about their friends, thoughts about their job,
People they care about.
people that they care about. So when they have thoughts about these things in relation to them and their reality, it's easy to be like, okay, well, that is my thought. When in all actuality, you don't really have to take ownership of it. Only thing that you probably would, and just like think Oh, the thoughts that come with it. I'm
Are
sorry.
you okay? I mean, I'm shocked you kept talking.
I was definitely joking.
As water?
Yeah. All the thoughts that come to us, it's important to not claim ownership over them.
So I feel like that's like the concept, I guess, but how I actually center myself is my morning routine is a big one.
Yeah.
I don't even want to call it a routine because I feel like it's more of a experience, right? My morning experience.
Mm-hmm.
I've been practicing having a lot of time with no sound at all because I noticed that I'm used to taking in a lot of energy, whether that's social media or TV or music or texting somebody else, talking on the phone,
checking emails,
read anything. You know, even worrying about what you have to do next. It's like if you can have like some time to yourself in the morning to just veg out with yourself, one, you can get used to what your own like inner voice sounds like. But two, you can you can just figure out what it feels like to be centered. For the first time. Stretching for me has been very grounding because it's just me, my yoga mat. That's it, actually. Me and my yoga mat. And I just sit there and I stretch. And the more you slow breathe and the more you like go deeper into your stretches, the more like the rest of the world outside of you kind of disappears. And it's just you.
Yeah.
And for me, that is how I center myself. A quick fix, if you're out in public or something, or like, maybe not out in public, just like at home and things are stressful, I'll knock out 10 push-ups really fast. I really will, because
just get down and just bust 10 of them.
No discussion, just do it. And he's like, you feel better? I'm like, yeah. Because you have to get rid of the stale energy inside of you, or else I feel like you can't be centered.
Yeah.
You gotta let it out. You can either let it go, or you can push up, or you can, I don't really care. You just gotta come at you.
Or you can creatively express it. It's like there's all sorts of avenues to release energy. It doesn't have to just be one thing. You can talk it out, you can push it out with the push-ups, or you can be creative with it. It really just depends on what your preferred avenue is.
You could twerk it out.
You could twerk it out. Start throwing that thing all over the place, you know?
Is that what you did? Maybe.
Let's get to the next question. Let's see. Okay, so one of these questions is, why do people use passive aggression?
I was imitating you.
Why do people use passive aggression and play it off as joking?
I'll go first.
You go first. Go ahead, go. I knew you had an opinion on this.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
How you know?
Because I know you.
I think the real reason is because the person being passive aggressive is triggered. I say this pretty confidently because I too have been very passive aggressive in my lifetime.
Okay.
And the reason every time when I figured it out was because I was actually hurt. Butthurt. I was butthurt.
That's very transparent of you.
You know?
Very, very transparent of you. You are so mature.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I remember being passive aggressive at times. Actually,
Tell us.
Passive aggressive.
Let us know.
You know, okay, so like, it's interesting that she says being passive aggressive, and she was actually triggered because different reasons and different things trigger different people. So, for example, when I was passive aggressive, I would be like, "Oh, you did that to me. Yep, that's what you did. Yep. Now I gotta suffer with this because this is what you did to me." Yep. And that's not fun. That's not fun for nobody. It's not fun for anybody. it is not cool to passive aggressively lay blame or fault to someone for some sort of suffering that you're going through. One, you could just communicate and just directly say it. Two, you like you got something to say. What you got to say?
I do have something to say,
Okay.
but I'm gonna wait for you to finish.
All right. So one, you can directly communicate about it, and two, everybody's suffering. Your suffering is not greater than anybody else's suffering. To be passive aggressive is also invalidating to others because it's like you're not the only person suffering out there. So.
You make good points.
Thank you. I appreciate it. What you got to say?
I think that passive aggressiveness, passive aggressive,
right?
How do you say it? It's probably tied to the second question.
Which one?
Parents.
Okay.
Communicating with parents.
Yeah. Because we were talking about expression. I feel like people don't feel like they can directly express, so they get passive and aggressive.
Right. You're following me. Come on.
Right.
Come on,
Okay.
you're following me.
No, this is originally yours. This is originally your question. You can go ahead and go. You continue.
I think people have learned that they're not allowed to express in X amount of ways based on how they were raised.
Right.
And within these boundaries, they have to learn how to let something out. But they can't directly say anything because that could be disrespectful or
survival,
inappropriate,
unsafe,
or unacceptable.
Yeah.
Like it's just not cool in their culture or their household.
Because some people view confrontation as like, why are you bringing this up and causing a commotion about this and bringing up confrontation? And people see direct confrontation as like, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
You know? Or like opposing viewpoints or opposing expressions, and they look at it as like, oh, now you're like confronting, that's wrong. And that's something that we should probably like talk about, have a conversation about. Confrontation doesn't necessarily equal wrong, you know. There's differences doesn't necessarily equal wrong, and there are definitely ways to go about it that make people feel safe, that make people feel heard and seen. But confrontation itself shouldn't be viewed as something like, oh, you brought this up, you're the one bringing up the confrontation, therefore you're wrong.
Because a lot of times in regular everyday situations, nobody's wrong.
Yeah, nobody.
Just everybody's like sensitive to their own life experience, which is fine. But you can't just be passive aggressive because you're not fixing it. Like you're continuing the cycle of somebody not hearing you.
Yeah, nothing's getting fixed. And when you're passive aggressive, one, since you're not directly bringing it up, it's almost like you can't even talk about it for real. And usually what happens with people who are passive aggressive, they're like, oh, this is what happened, and then they'll just keep it moving, as opposed to being readily accessible for conversation to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But talking about, the reason why people are passive aggressive too versus talking about, because talking about things hurt. It hurts.
They do. And you also have to have the courage to bring up something that hurts in front of someone who could be in confrontation with you about it.
Yeah, who could invalidate your pain.
Yeah. We should talk about the ways to confront people so that people can feel heard and feel safe in the conversation to even let those inner emotions out to begin with. You know what I'm saying?
That's probably, I guess, one of my biggest goals with this channel and these conversations is making a space for people to like talk.
Yeah.
And actually discuss topics like this because this is normal.
Yeah, this is normal.
Passive aggressiveness is normal.
We see it every day.
Normal.
Every day.
Not saying healthy, but normal.
Right. It's what's normalized in our culture.
Well, not just this. The whole,
American culture.
Being unaware of how to center yourself.
Right.
Being unable to communicate with elders successfully. All these things are normal that people are struggling with and don't have an outlet.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to your therapist about it too, but a lot of people are talking to just their therapist or just their person, and we're still not having a big discussion.
Right.
Because people are still scared to show it in front of their families.
Yeah. And it's one thing to go to your therapist and to seek solace in whatever it is that they bring.
It's beautiful.
It's very, very beautiful. That it doesn't end there though. The trauma came from somewhere else, and that has to be addressed. You know what I'm saying?
And that one's a slippery slope.
And that's a slippery slope because
that we can't tell you how to talk to them because everybody's like home base or personal experience is just so different.
Everybody has their own unique different triggers and traumas that make them feel unsafe. So every situation is unique because you have to work around what people are traumatized or triggered over. Because if you don't do that, then they won't feel safe in the conversation. If they're not safe in the conversation, there's nothing happening. There's no progress being attained.
It's not a conversation.
It's not even a conversation.
So
at this point, it's two separate monologues. You know, and that's just kind of what happened.
Tell me you haven't been in one of those before.
Yeah,
two separate monologues.
Two separate monologues. It's like blah 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 blah,
and blah
blah blah blah, and that's
right.
it. And then y'all leave, and nothing was solved. No solution was obtained.
And then you come back together and make family dinner together.
Make family dinner. Act like it didn't happen.
And it happens again next month.
And it happens again.
I do feel like it is beneficial to navigate the spaces of how to communicate like your experience, your expression. I do feel like depending on who you're communicating with, you might need a bit of a plan.
Yeah.
You know, but I do think that questions like these are beneficial.
It's just hard because also we have kind of normalized in our culture like emotionally stonewalling people as like strength, and you know, as like people being hard, something that is
to be proud of.
Proud of or idolized. You know, while there is strength in that, in being able to control your emotions, emotionally stonewalling people makes people feel unsafe. You know, it doesn't add to the progression of you and that person if y'all need to talk or have some kind of like solution when it comes to like some kind of beef or something that y'all got going on, you know?
I've noticed you said safe, the word safe a lot. Why do you keep saying safe?
Because I honestly think that we're not having these conversations in all of America because people don't feel safe. You know, people don't feel safe to express their emotion. Emotional expression is looked at as weakness, oftentimes.
Yeah.
And if you are expressing your emotions, then you could be looked at, not even just you are, but just you could be looked at as weak. And just the simple possibility of that existing turns people off from even feeling like, oh, I'm just not gonna express anything.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna look weak. For what? You know what I'm saying? And then...
And we both been there.
Yeah. This is just another topic, another subtopic. We are demonizing looking weak. Do you know what I'm saying? If you look weak, then the reputation for whatever it is that you do could be in jeopardy just because you look weak. But it's normal to be weak. You know, you have to be weak. You have to be emotionally vulnerable so that...
To heal.
You know what I'm saying? And this weakness that we're kind of trying to avoid, it's actually exacerbating the problem of us living in our own silos and living in echo chambers because no one is talking about anything.
Yeah. Because
they don't want to be viewed as weak and they don't want to put themselves in a situation where they're vulnerable and someone could invalidate their vulnerability. We have to normalize being emotionally vulnerable so that we can have these conversations. And we also have to normalize being weak. It's okay to be weak. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all.
If you don't allow yourself to feel weakness at some point, then nobody can never come in and help you. Ever. When a lot of people, whether they admit it or not, wish somebody would just give them a hand.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't even have, and sometimes the other person that you're talking to doesn't even have to do anything. They could just be there to listen to what you got to say. And then boom, they could experience healing. You know what I'm saying? There's not a lot that actually needs to be done when it comes to healing. It's not like you gotta like express yourself and then you gotta go out and then work 8 hours and then come back and then work 2 more hours and then all of a sudden you be healed. No, you can be healed instantly just with someone sitting down and actively listening to whatever it is you have to say. That quick. A lot of work could be done.
I think so. Honestly, we have way more questions and it's already been an hour.
Yeah, it has been. So we're gonna do a part 2. We went to like 6 questions and we had like 17 in total.
Yeah, actually might have a few more, but that's what we have right now. But we're gonna have to make a part 2 of this. I do hope that you all like this. I actually like this conversation.
This conversation is great.
It was a little touchy, especially the parent one for me is like,
yeah.
Because my parents watch these also, so it's like, I don't want something I suppose. Our parents watch these, so it's like, I don't want them to be like, what? You know, real life experience is real life experience. So it's like, we have to learn even ourselves to navigate these things. You know, we can't preach healing and being vulnerable and not being vulnerable.
And we can't preach safety and making sure people feel heard and seen and not allow that space for the people that we're talking to as well.
Right.
You know?
So, you know, we're here learning and growing just like y'all are. And if you have any questions you want to add to this for the next video or videos to come, we now have a running list of questions that we're just going to keep adding to for each Q&A that we do. And we would love for you to just write them in the comments. Are we dancing? We would love this because you see, this is the whole freestyle thing coming in with us for fun. Anywho, we would love it. You know, feel free. We're available. We feel like chatting, you know, and we'll be back right here next time. On
the Kenni and Rio show.
I like how that sounds, the Kenni and Rio show. Yeah. We love you all, and we hope that you are having a beautiful, blessed, and safe day, and we hope that you learned something from this. If nothing else, just considered one of these questions, or maybe inspired another question for you to dig into. Don't forget to create something beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's your. Yeah. Show what you got, baby.
I ain't ready for all that.
All right, y'all. We'll see you next time, okay? Bye.
See y'all.
Love you.